experience that you get, you build on every year. You learn little things. Being out in the bush with those elk calling, you start to really build on understanding their behavior and what they're going to do. We use different setups. Like we'll set up some scent wicks for some cows in heat. Do some cow calling. We'll do bugling. Definitely always conscious of things like wind direction and them trying to circle around us. So putting people in position, where the caller can stay in an ideal spot to bring an elk to a shooter. So
yeah, you always got to play the wind. So
well, they say maybe cliche, I don't know, but they say an elk can hear you 3 times, see you twice, and smell you once, and they're gone. So
yeah,
the wind is definitely one of those key factors. But being out there, learning, it's exciting. It's a lot of fun, and just will be things that we can build on year after year.
Yeah.
There's guys out there that are just phenomenal elk hunters, phenomenal callers.
Oh, for sure.
That have been out there for years and years, and you can't replace that. You can't replace experience.
No, well, look at the reeds we used, the Maverick and that from Phelps.
Yeah.
So Jason Phelps and Dirk Durham, they're ridiculous.
Yeah, love watching those guys. We exclusively use Phelps. I think pretty much.
Yeah,
so we're using what's the bugle tube we're using? We're both using the same one.
Unleashed, I think.
Unleashed. Yeah. And some of the reeds we use, the Maverick, Phelps Maverick. We use
that, and the Juggernaut is the pink one.
The pink one, yeah. That's a great call as well.
They're all around calls, right? You can do cow calls, you can do screams, you can do
just
everything.
You just get such great tones out of them, though. That's why I like those ones the best. Those bugle tubes got a good deep,
good resonance in them.
Good resonance, good deep sound, and lots of carry. So, and of course you can hit the high notes.
Yeah, once you figure out how to do it, it took me a while.
Maybe one day we'll do some videos of ourselves calling, just
messing around.
But
or even make kind of a tutorial video. We're not best at it.
No, definitely not. But yeah, guys that I would watch, Dirk Durham, he's phenomenal. The guys from
Born and Raised.
Those guys are some great callers too.
Steve Chappell.
Yeah. Been watching him for a long time. Yeah. He was the guy that I first started watching to learn how to call. So, and he's, world class. Great caller.
Yeah.
Great caller. Good videos to watch. So
another really good one's Elk 101.
Yeah.
Corey is
Corey and Rocky Jacobson. Those guys are also phenomenal. So, we're out there elk.
That's how we taught ourselves.
We're out there elk hunting. But we watch these guys and they're great. We appreciate the things we learn from them, and we get excited about watching their videos. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So continuing on that elk hunt, we really didn't have a lot of action for a couple of days in the wind. It was just, the wind was terrible.
Yeah, we did have, me and Mike ran into a few moose. We buy our moose tags, general moose tag we can buy for that area. And we buy it more for opportunity tag. So if we see one, we can shoot it. We don't do a lot of moose calling. We don't hunt the moose, but it's more of an opportunity because there's a lot in the area. Yeah,
there's definitely good moose in that area, and to get a shot at a moose with a bow is pretty exciting. And there's opportunities that present themselves even if that's not our target animal. But when we're coming into the tail end of our elk hunt, those moose are really just getting started into their rut activities.
Yeah, they are.
We last year saw 3 moose rolling in a wallow, pushing each other around a little bit, which was pretty cool. We didn't have our bows. It was the first day of rifle season. We had rifles that day, and so we didn't get a shot. Bad on us. We never stopped carrying our bow after that, because ultimately bow is the way we want to do it.
That's our main
for sure.
priority is bow hunting.
But there's different times we were through the bush where we bumped moose. Sometimes there were, moose bedded down. We tried closing the distance. Of course, those guys got satellite dishes for ears, so they can hear a pin drop in the bush, and they can't see very well. But as soon as they're nervous, their nose is in the air and they're moving away for sure.
The few that we seen there, those windy days, we couldn't get within 80 yards of them.
No, I think Mike might have closed to maybe 80 yards. Was probably the closest. So yeah, we didn't have any real good shots at moose for sure.
Till day 9.
Till day 9, our last day of hunting.
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of calling and I wasn't doing a lot of being the shooter.
Yeah.
So me and Steven went out and he was going to do some calling for me, try to get something,
Yeah, get Joe on an elk.
see if I could get an opportunity for a shot.
I more or less just said, all right, I'm not going to bring my bow. Well, then right before we left, I was like, I'm going to bring it. I'm going to bring my bow just on the off chance something happens. Joe gets up ahead of me when I'm calling one in, and it comes right directly to me.
And something happened.
Yeah, we were hiking along and up this old cut line, and that we've been up a bunch of times, but Joe was walking in front of me, and I was bugling once in a while, and we were walking along, and I just happened to look over to my left, and there was a bull moose standing broadside, stood up in his bed. And I tried to get Joe's attention. I said your name a couple times.
Yeah, I'm going to say this. The idea that we had, and I'm sure tons of hunters are guilty of this. So we were doing some bugling. Stephen was bugling. I was ahead of him on this trail. And my mindset was I wanted to get to a tree line. There was a tree line further off that, it was kind of open where we're at. It was thick underbrush, but it was kind of a poplar aspen sort of forest. So it was lots of space in between trees. And there was a heavier bush line that I was trying to get to, to set up in what I thought would have been a decent position. Yeah. So
we were close to nightfall too. Like it
was getting late for sure. We probably had an hour left maybe of light, a good hour, but so yeah, mindset was getting to this bush line. So I was walking and not looking. And I don't know how, I'm sure lots of hunters that happens to them, but you're walking, thinking, trying to get somewhere. And
you're in the zone.
And you bump an animal. And you're like, I should have been moving slower, looking harder, taking more time. But it worked out because as I was walking on the trail ahead of Steven, I startled the moose. I think there was 2 of them. Yeah. And they stood up from their beds. I didn't see them at this point. But I kind of felt like Steven stopped walking behind me. Supposedly he tried to get my attention.
I definitely did.
But when I turned around and looked, he was at full draw. And so I seen him at full draw, and then I turned and looked, and I could see one moose. And he had big satellite dish. He had good paddles. He was a real nice looking moose. And Steven let the arrow sail, and I heard it hit. Yeah. And these 2 moose went running. So I didn't see one, and he didn't see the other one. I
didn't see the big one.
Just because of the angles that they were at. But the one he shot charged off in this direction, and the other one charged off in this direction. So I thought he got this
nice moose.
Real big, nice moose. And so we went in and found blood. That was pretty easy to find. 40 yards.
Yeah, I think it was like a 40-yard shot.
40-yard shot.
Roughly.
And steady. That was a great shot.
Yeah, it was what I'm best at 50 yards is my best shooting. I don't know why. My best shooting's at 50 yards. So anywhere around that is great.
Yeah, so let the arrow fly, hit him.
Yeah, I felt real confident about that shot. I knew he was done.
Yeah, so you hit him just behind the shoulder.
About mid-body.
Double lung.
Yeah, it was just about an entire pass through. He snapped off the arrow on his other side. Snapped off I don't know, 8 inches maybe of my arrow was snapped off.
Yeah.
And we found the other half.
There was a complete pass through, wasn't it? Or
no, it wasn't a complete pass through. He snapped it off and the other side came out.
Yeah.
But it was there was blood all the way through the knock, so it had passed through him completely, and it actually split ribs. What we found after when we found the moose.
Cut right through them.
Yeah.
Cut right through them. Yeah, it's super impressive.
Yeah, we'll talk about those
well,
broadheads and arrow combos.
Yeah, we're gonna do another video here and talk a little bit about what we're using.
Yeah.
We're not sponsored, but we are
shooter staff for killing sticks.
Yeah, so
Happy with that.
We'll talk about that. But back to the moose. Blood trail, good blood.
Oh yeah, it was real good blood.
Real good blood trail.
You could tell it was a long shot. It had bubbles, bright blood, and it was everywhere.
Yeah. He followed the blood trail. I kind of stayed back and was marking with ribbon so we could find where we went.
Yeah. And then
how far?
70 yards, I think he went, maybe.
I don't even think it was that far.
No?
Yeah, maybe
it
somewhere
was
somewhere between 50 and 70.
Yeah, something about that.
But he piled up hard.
Oh yeah, well, it's like, I don't know, chest high grass is what we're hiking through, and alders.
And deadfall.
Yeah. So
Deadfall everywhere, like knee high, thigh high, shin high, in this tall grass and undergrowth and miserable to get through.
yeah, so when I actually came up to him and found him where he was laying, I was only 10 yards from him.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see him until I stood on the log.
Yeah.
And I just happened to look over and see him. And when he piled up hard because he went down head first. He hit a tree with his antler. You could see where it took a chunk out of the tree.
Yeah.
And then flopped over.
Yeah, he was just done.
He didn't last very long.
Yeah.
And that's what we wanted,
Yeah.
obviously.
No, that was great. That was a best case scenario. Good, ethical, clean, fast kill.
Yep.
And a great animal. It was a great animal.
Yeah, he was a young 7-point, but he's a bull.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was meat to take home. It's the only thing we got.
Yeah, so that was, to come back not empty-handed was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
and really good. Moose is great.
Yeah.
It's great meat. I love moose. So.
Yeah. I mean, the last, 3 years, we haven't shot at anything out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had close encounters, but we hunt pretty hard, and it was nice to come home with something for once.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I've definitely shot an elk in there.
You have, yes. I still haven't shot any elk.
I've been involved in definitely a handful out there, but the last 3 years I have not let an arrow fly.
Yeah, you need to this year.
Yeah, so we'll see what kind of opportunities we get.
Yeah.
So we decided with that moose, we weren't terribly far from camp, probably a couple kilometers through the bush as the crow flies.
We hiked right from camp.
Yeah, through a beaver pond. But yeah, so we hiked back to camp to go. Mike wasn't with us, so we were going to get Mike and get a
Couple extra hands and
machine side by side chainsaw and go collect this moose. And when we get back to camp, Mike wasn't there.
No.
But there was a note.
Yeah, there was I noticed on one of our tables in camp, there was a note underneath a piece of wood, I believe it was, and Joe had texted him shortly after. We have spotty service out there, rarely any service. So he texted him and said we had shot a moose. But
just hoping that he might get the text.
He might get the message. But he came back to camp thinking that's kind of what we said, but he had also shot a moose.